Hello, hello. Oh, I forgot. Okay, that is much better. Okay, so I've had a rough day, so I am drinking some lemon water with some honey to help with my throat. While I speak to you briefly this evening, I apologize for the lateness. I was here, sitting, waiting, getting ready to speak. And then I realized that my connection um, to my computer and my router, it wasn't there. So, just a bit of a side note, if you're going live on your laptop, don't do it over Wi Fi. It's best to connect hardwire. This is why, sometimes people go on uh, do live streaming and the connection is bad because they're doing it over Wi-Fi. And unless your Wi-Fi is like super mega whatever, it's not gonna work. So you want to connect hardwire. Just a tip. So good evening. Thank you for joining me this evening. So this evening it's going to be the last live stream for this week, and I'll be back next week. So let me introduce myself and just get into it. My name is Waveney, and I am a leadership coach. I help new managers develop leadership influence by mastering their relationships at work and leveraging their communication skills. And I am the founders of the People's Brand. If you're just stumbling across this live stream, just a bit of information about me. I have a strong human resources background. I think it's what, over 17 years. I keep mixing up how long I've been in HR and how long I've been in hospitality. They're kind of close. So I have a strong human resources background, and the industry that I work mainly is in hospitality. I did some manufacturing and so forth. And so the People's Brand is my purpose really and my passion to help new managers grow and develop. And I love to see people grow and develop. And so I've been doing a series of live streams. I have been speaking since last week. Um, and I'm bringing to you just really to kick off January with strategies and making you aware, bringing awareness to you to this conversation and discussion about things and situations that new managers face. And really, if persons are going through a transition, because, like I've been mentioning, um, the pandemic has really shook people up, in so many different ways, but also many people have had a come to Jesus moment where they're recognizing they're in the wrong positions, they're in the wrong jobs, that they want to really pursue um, what they're passionate about, right? And so they're making those transitions. And so I work with people like that, clients such as those. Um, this week, the topics are more mindset driven, blocks that people have, things that they're doing that most of the time unconsciously that they're not aware. I spoke about having a double standard, how that shows up in your leadership and in your management. And sometimes people don't set out to have double standards, right? They don't set out to do that. One thing I forgot to mention is that I go live simultaneously. So if you see me, looking in this direction and in this direction, I am connecting with you. All right, I'm connecting with you, which is part of my tagline: connecting, inspiring, influencing. I want wherever you are. If you're here joining me on the live stream, if you're catching the replay, I want you to feel like I'm having a conversation with you and I want you to feel comfortable. So I'm making virtual eye contact, all right? So we spoke about having a double standard. I spoke about self-doubt, something that really cripples people's success. I spoke about that last night. Self-doubt keeps us stuck and it can show up in so many ways. And this is a thing about um, the beliefs that we hold and the mindset blocks that we have. They sound like they seem to be true, but on further examination, we realize it isn't so. And then I also spoke about, I think it was Tuesday night, about using your title. Like thinking that you're going to get into this management role and you're going to have a title of director or managing director or manager or even a supervisor, and thinking that people are going to just respect your role. And yes, people should respect the title and so forth, but you have to do the work, right? Excuse me, you cannot be a leader and just expect to show up and people don't do the work. So that's a little bit about what I spoke on this week. And this tonight, I am speaking about Googling your way to success. Googling your way to success. One moment. No, I love Google. I'm not knocking it. I think it's a great invention. I love YouTube and I've learned a lot from those two platforms, right? But if you have the mindset, I can figure it out on my own, right? Or if you're very independent, like the people who follow the people's brand, they're driven, the customer profile, the client profile are people who are not just new managers, but they want to do great work. They're driven, they're independent, they're driven, they're ambitious, um, and they're go-getters, right? And so sometimes we feel that we are highly independent. I know sometimes I feel that way. I am that way. And, I like to figure things out. I like to figure things out on my own, right? And so you may have that. I can figure it out on my own. I'm very independent. Or you can have this feeling where you're saying that Google is free. So why would I pay for something? Why would I pay to learn something? And, you know, I have Google, it's free. I could just Google it, right? I could just Google. I'm a new manager, so I could just Google whatever I want, right? I'm going to figure it out. And you might have that mindset. And so there's a few things that is wrong with that way of thinking, that mindset. And I just want to explore them for a few minutes. So the number one problem with that is Google can't answer your specific question. Google can't answer your specific question, and you might be saying, yes, it can. Well, here's the problem with that. The question is never the question, and the problem is never the problem. So if it is a question that you have, or if it is a situation that you're encountering, maybe with your boss, you don't know how to deal with that person. I remember last week I was on the live stream and somebody asked the question, like, how would you deal with your boss who's threatened by you? And you could Google that and you'll find a gazillion answers, but the question is never the question, and the problem is never the problem. Okay? Because when you peel it back, everybody's situation is different. And that's just a broad saying. You are different. There's history there between, let's use that example. My boss is intimidated by me. What do I do? Right. And you Google that. Well, Google doesn't know your history. Okay. Maybe you are someone that is ambitious, a go-getter, and you come across very um, assertive. Okay, that's the word. And there's a lot of people that can't handle assertive people. They might even call them aggressive. And I tend not to use that word. You know, there's some people that just want to get things done. I'm one of those people. I just want to get things done. You give me something to do, I'm all over it. I'm jumping all over it. A weak leader is going to be intimidated by that. There are people who are going to be intimidated by that, believe it or not. So let's take that back. So Google can't, Google doesn't know your history. Google doesn't know your particular makeup in terms of your personality. Google doesn't know the conversations and communication between you and your boss. Okay. Google doesn't know all of that. Google is giving you just a wide, based on people's experiences, and I'm not knocking it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the information is incorrect, but you're going to have to be Googling a lot of stuff, right? And so the question is never the question, and the problem is never the problem. There is context to consider. There's context to consider in that, right? The other thing too is management, leading people, managing is very situational. It is not black and white like some people think. It isn't black and white. Okay. You have an organization, the people, this particular organization, you have to take into account the culture of the organization, the politics of the organization. There's politics everywhere, and especially in the workplace. Okay, the overall environment, the goals, management is situational. So try Googling a particular situation, you will get an answer. You will get an answer. Um, I think they have a feature where you will see, I think that the answers, the most popular, the most credible answers are always on the top. They're ranked, right? And it's not wrong, but how can that help you, right? And then also, just some people, they'll be like, yeah, I Googled that. And yeah, and this is what they say. But you have to really analyze the credibility of the source that you are taking the information from. Because really and truly, you can find anything online to support things that you do, whether it's good or bad or whatever. You could find that. Okay. Going back to that example of your boss being threatened by you, you might find an article in support of you, but then the article isn't going to tell you, well, isn't going to speak about that running that you are, that comment that you made, or that something that you did where you went over your boss's that you didn't ask for permission. The person's already, your boss is already a weak leader, they're already, or they may not be, or they may not be, right? But Google can't tell you all of that. But you could find anything online to support you. So somebody's saying the essence is, how do you personalize the research findings and fit it into your real life context? This is where the real learning takes place. That is true. But when you are in a new position and you are either depending solely on Google because it's free, you have to be careful with that. You have to be careful with that, right? Because you're going to be pulling pieces and bits of information to it. You're going to be pulling those pieces of information, but do you have the time? You have a department to run, you have goals to meet, right? You're going to spend all your time Googling and personalizing. Yeah, you can for certain things, but um, it's going to take time, and time is, you don't have that time, right? So, can I have some questions, right? Can Google help you with one long, and these are just situational, a long serving employee? So somebody who has been in the organization for quite a while, that has resistance. So you come into the department and you're meeting this person who's been there for a very like long time and they have a huge resistance, right? Can Google help you with that? Now, the back end of that situation might be that this person was promised a promotion, this person was promised must to go on training. I know that has happened to me, and I had to push, right? I had a development plan at one point in my career, and part of the plan was to send me to another property to get some training, a specific area. And I had a change in leadership. There was a change in leadership in my department. I had a boss, a new boss, and then he came in and he's saying, "Well, I don't think this makes sense. I don't." I mean, he didn't take the time to know me, and I had to really push. I had to push to get that done, right? And so you can have that. So you can come into that department and you have this resistance, and you may think this person is rude, they're disrespectful, they're unprofessional because you have goals to meet, you have things to do, you're meeting this resistance. And if you're not uh, connected, grounded, emotionally, intelligent enough, aware enough, you're going to judge the situation. You're not going to ask the right question, right? And on the back end, this person may have been promised so many things by a bunch of people, and they fail that person. And so now they're like, you know what? Like, what is this? Can Google help you with that? You have to ask the questions. You have to, you know, pick up on body language and communication and cues, right? And connect with that person so you can get the full story. Um, this is another situation. Can Google help you with this? A senior leader within the organization that just seems not to like you. They seem not to like you. Okay. And you don't know why. And this person probably may play a critical role or a pivotal role in that organization, and you really need them on your side. And this is where the politics come in, right? This is where the organizational politics that you need a person on your side. You want to grow your career, you need a person. Now, the back end of it could be that you made a comment that they're holding on to and you offended them. That happens. We could sit here all night and say that shouldn't happen. And da, da, da. We're dealing with people. Dealing with people, and we can't manage other people's feelings and thoughts. We can manage ourselves, and we can manage our relationships, which is my job to help you do that, right? And so, how are you going to repair that relationship? You need that relationship. It's an important. It could be your boss, right? How are you going to repair that? It could be, can Google help you? You have to give constructive feedback to your top performer. How are you going to do this without jeopardizing the morale of that person? Okay. Here's a last, uh, another scenario. How your triggers, can Google help you with your triggers? How they show up in your leadership style? Some people are so petty. They're petty, and it's because they have these triggers that's going on. People bring the triggers and the traumas to work, right? And it could be that you have worked in an environment where it was very cutthroat and people would do this and say this, and somebody may have done something or say something, or maybe they sent a report without notifying you, or made a decision without notifying you, and you suddenly feel like, oh, what are they trying to do? What are they trying to do? Take my job? What are they trying to do? Run the department? I'm the manager. And if you are, that's a trigger, and you have to address that within yourself, right? Can Google help you with that? Because most people in that they have to be open and honest and ready to hear the truth. They have to want to change, they have to want to go and learn. So can Google help you with that? You're going to be Googling forever. You're going to be pulling bits and pieces, and sure, thank you so much for your contribution. You're going to be pulling bits and pieces to support whatever you want, right? And so the Communicate to Influence program, I help you to connect, right? Get confidence, develop your confidence, I should say, and develop into an influential leader. And we have 90 days to do this. And we do this through a series of exercises. We do this through a series of development exercises. We do this one on one, where you work with me. And this is where the Googling part cannot help you. You can't ask Google, you can't tell Google, well, this was the situation. And Google can't speak back, or YouTube can't speak back to you and say, well, did you try this? Have you tried that? Tell me more about this. Thanks, Oral. um, Google can't respond to you. You could, if you don't believe me, when you get off this live stream, go and Google anything and you could support your argument. Anything could support your argument. But that's my point. If you have the mindset that you don't need help, you're not paying for help, um, you're independent, there's free information on the internet, then you're going to run yourself into a problem. And you have to choose what is more important, your credibility as a leader, you finding a solid foundation, a solid footing, or you trying to piece together information. And I could tell you right now, nobody has time for that. The pandemic, just living through this whole pandemic is already stressful. People go into their jobs already, they want to do the best, but they're in the back of their mind, there's like, okay, is my job safe? Like this whole job security is playing in the back of people's mind, right? And this is why people now are making sure that they have a strong foundation, because your skills, there are transferable skills. So if this doesn't work, that can work. You've heard me say I had a client, and she was a pilot, she was a captain, she was in aviation, and we all know what happened to the airline industry, and she had to transition, right? And we worked together on that. But you don't have time to Google. We don't have time in this world to Google, to piecemeal, right, this information. Okay, when I was trying to figure out my next step and wanted to grow my business even more, I got a coach. I got someone to help me, because I could tell you from experience, like, okay, you'd see things online and you say, oh, this is how this works, or let me sign up for this, or let me do this, but you're all over the place. You don't have a focus. Now when you have a coach, you work on you have particular goals, you work on a particular issue, and it gets you ahead, because that person is already so much further along than you. And I am so grateful that I got my coach. Like, I love her to death. I am so grateful for that, right? I'm very, very grateful for that. Grateful for that experience. But you have to be willing you can't Google everything. You cannot Google everything. You can't YouTube everything. You can't take it from here, take it from there. And you also have to, check out the credibility of your resources. So I just wanted to come on here tonight and say to you, if you have the mindset that Google is your best friend, it's my friend too. I use it to do research. I do. Sometimes when I'm preparing for a live stream topic, I look for information, and that's okay. But if you are serious about what you're doing, then you need the help. then you need the help. Okay. You need to get focused, you need to get clear, you need somebody who's going to hold you accountable, and you need to have an investment in it. You need to make a commitment. When you get free things, when we get anything that's free, we don't value it, right? We have no investment to it. We might sign up for something that's free, and then when you look, we get distracted, something pops up because there's no commitment, there's no investment, it's free. So, oh, it's there, I can always go back to it, right? And so, if this is you, um, if you know you've been listening to this and you know you need the help, stop playing around with your future. Stop playing around with your future. Stop wasting time. And so there is a link in my bio on Instagram. Schedule your consultation call. Let us talk. Let's see how we can work together. If you're on Facebook, there is a link in the About section, or there's a link right there that can lead you to it. But yes, Google is great, but you can't Google your way to success, right? This is what you think is the solution to helping you, but it is not the solution. And it's not working because you're pulling the info all over. You're all over. You're not being held accountable. All right. Thank you for joining me this evening. If you love this topic, if you may have a friend that's going into a role, a management position, and they may need the assistance, you can forward, share this information out. I'm also uploading everything. If they're not on Instagram or um, Facebook or LinkedIn, then I have a YouTube channel. They are housed there. So all the live streams I did from last week, all the ones this week, and next week I'll be back for the final week, and we'll be chatting more next week. I'm going to tell you more about the Communicate to Influence program, what you can expect. So thank you so much for joining me, and have a what's that? We all need our own identity. Oral, what do you mean? Somebody just popped in some typed in something. What do you mean? I'm gonna answer that um before I log off. It usually takes a while. Okay, Oral, you can DM me and I could answer that question. I'm not sure what you mean. So thank you for joining me. Have a fabulous evening, and I'll talk to you. I'll be back next week, Monday at 7 p.m. Um, with another topic. Bye.